Hi, this is Mark. In this video, I'm going to talk about my 5 most idiotic moments in history, or the history that I remember. I have definitely had worse, but these are just 5 instances that are prime examples of my obliviousness and me being an absent-minded person and potentially suffering from ADHD or ADD, which I've never been diagnosed, but let's see. So for the first instance, I was cooking a pizza in the oven, and upon completion, I decided instead of grabbing a towel or just a glove, which actually I didn't have at the time, I decided to grab one of my shirts, and did not realize I grabbed 2 shirts at the time. So I took my pizza out of the oven and just left it there and was completely oblivious for 30 minutes. The fact that my shirt was on fire, and it wasn't until the fire alarm was set off that I finally realized the gravity of the situation, and the oven was completely on fire. And I decided to I didn't know it at the time. I just got water, bucket of water, um, and eventually was able to get rid of the fire. But I think initially, idiot I am, I think I used a towel, and I swatted at it and partially caught the towel on fire, or burnt it, and that was clearly not a good idea. But anyways, once that was over, learned my lesson, hopefully. And for instance, too, I was making tea at the time, and I decided to, um, or I didn't realize at the time that I put the tea bag in a cup and I microwaved it for about 2 minutes. Took me At that point, I kind of noticed something was off. It smelled something was burning. And then I was like, ah, it's completely uh, flustered at that point because I forgot to add water in the cup. And it's almost as if my mind was just focusing on something else, just like going about my life in a autopilot. And essentially, that's happened not just once, but quite a few times. Um, Another instance, so I went grocery shopping. And, a lot of times I get rotisserie chicken or uh, frozen food. And there's been a few occasions where one instance where I left I left my rotisserie chicken in my pantry, and for some reason, and my frozen, like I completely put them out of order, and it was completely scattered. I basically had to I wasted a lot of money. Well, on the relative scale, not a lot of money, but at the time it was, and yeah, it just goes to show how um, oblivious I can be. But yeah, that's just I just think um, we all go through idiotic moments, and I can I like laughing it off because it's nothing to prove, nothing to prove at this point, this point. But the next instance, this was funny because so I was like on campus during my college studies. I was walking to class. I was from the parking lot, and it rained previously quite heavily, and I didn't realize there was a puddle, and I'm just this case I was texting, or I forget what I was doing on my cell phone. But anyways, my head immediately after, like a few seconds later, as I'm walking, it implanted right into head first into the ground. Um, Actually, it was, and I tripped, or I actually tripped. Well, not tripped, but I lost my footing when I went over a curb, over the curb, and basically my head been planted into the puddle, and I was just immersed completely, and yeah, covered in water at that point. And goes to show, you should always watch where you're going. I nearly got hit by a car by crossing the road because I was too distracted at the time, and I was on my cell phone. So do not drive, even if you think you can do so. If you think you can multitask, do not drive when you're on your cell phone. Do not. I don't know how many deaths occurred because of stemming from you know all these distractions, but it's definitely probably quite eminent. Um, and then the last instance, and this is I was extremely lucky because again I was on college campus going to class and proceeding, or generally I park along the curb, and then at this point it was actually I wasn't going to class, I was going to an hour meeting, so it's a good thing I wasn't and I wasn't involved in a bit during a busy period, or I didn't have a busy schedule at the time, but I went about my business, and when I actually departed back to my car, I realized, because I noticed I could hear the engine running. I realized I left my keys in my car the entire time for at least an hour. And I'm glad. It could have been an easy win. Or it could have been someone could have easily, and I didn't lock it, of course, so someone could have easily got in and stole my car at that time. And I had a Honda Accord 2016, 25,000 K. That would have been down the drain. And certainly that would have taught me a lesson. And But still, to this day, I have my moments. I'm glad I'm still alive. I've had worse, or on a relative scale. I've had moments where I've nearly killed myself. But but yeah, it's just these are my five worst, or I wouldn't say worst. These are just five moments or idiotic moments that I remember in clarity. I'm sure there's some moments where it's completely a hiatus at this point. But yeah, that's. Hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next time.